G'day ladies and gents, welcome to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome aboard the TB3. Now this is the TB3 in arcade game mode. Now, I'm not going to show you the full battle. This was mainly a 4-man Chiker domination battle, and showing you that Chikers in a 4-man squad on comms dominate in arcade is sort of like trying to explain to you that water is wet. It's sort of stating the obvious. But I did a little bit of scientific testing at the start of the match, which is what I want to show you here. Just backing off on the throttle so Combat Wombat can catch up. Now, I like flying the TB3, but the one plane that I really want in my collection that I've never had a chance to get is the PO2, or the 2OP. And I remember that not too long ago there was a series of videos with people trying to land the PO2 in various different places on the game, so I was always curious. Can you land the PO2 on the back of a TB3 while in flight? Well, let's find out. A little closer, just a little closer. Apparently not. So, 6 days with no content on the channel. What the hell has been going on, Mags? Well, there's been a couple of things. First and foremost, work. I've been very busy with work, and unfortunately there's no way to avoid that. Second problem I've been having is with the computer itself. I've actually had a problem with the cooling system. The stock CPU coolers that were sent with the CPU are completely not good enough. Not even close to being good enough for any type of operation like what I'm doing. Trying to keep the computer cool has been an absolute nightmare. I've been suffering some system instabilities as a result. I have managed to work around on it, and new cooling system has been ordered, and with a little bit of luck will be arriving in the mail today. So that problem has been solved. But it hasn't been the main issue. No, the main problem has been my net connection. I've been suffering a lot of dropouts recently. My ISP's been having a few issues. Not entirely sure what the problem was. They have assured me that the problem should be fixed by now. But basically, well, as you well know, the upload time on these videos is about 8 hours. I generally do it while I'm sleeping. I have the video made, and then I start the upload, go to bed, get up the next morning, and it's done. With the net doing what it's doing, trying to maintain a constant connection through the night in order to complete the upload has not been something that's been possible, so I haven't been able to get videos to YouTube to begin with. Thankfully, everything seems to have settled down, so normal service will resume. So today we're flying out the Commonwealth Aircraft Corporation Boomerang, a true blue Aussie fighter. As many of you know, I've had some issues with this thing's BR rating recently. At battle rating 4, it is... well, its tiering is not appropriate for its performance by any means. And as a result of that, getting a good performance out of the Boomerang while flying solo is incredibly difficult to do in RB. It really is. But what happens if you put 3 of them in a squad and get on comms? So today I'm flying out with Combat Wombat in his Boomerang Mark II and the Josie 5 flying out in his Boomerang Mark I. We're on Korea versus the Russians. And this is a battle rating 4 maximum match, so we are top tier. First 3 aircraft have been sighted, 2 I-16s and a Yak-9 at low altitude cutting the grass. Closest target is Robbo the Bloke, and I have a sneaking suspicion he may be Australian. I-16s are actually quite a fun aircraft to engage in the Boomerang. They carry a lot of firepower and a highly manoeuvrable package, a lot like the Boomerang does. Robbo in his I-16 makes a pass on an F6F3, they've gone into the engagement, and I'm not going to follow. I'm going to stay up here at altitude. Now we're floating about at 14,000 feet at the moment, and this is well above the optimal manoeuvring altitudes for the Boomerang. It's actually going to be a little sluggish up here. However, I don't want to surrender the altitude just yet, because I'm at equal altitude with the top aircraft for the enemy team. The Josie 5 dives in and lights the I-16 on fire. It explodes and he takes his first kill. Now I circled back towards combat so we could cover each other, however the enemy fighters have started to get close enough that it's time to engage. We're just working out exactly who's going to take what. We have an I-16 and 2 LA-5s up here with us. Combat's preparing to engage the LA-5s. I'm moving into a position where I can cover him and assist anybody who might try and engage him after he's made his engagement with the enemy. However, the enemy is staggered in such a way that if we moved in, they would have the opportunity to start booming and zooming us. One of the biggest risks that you have in the Boomerang. So we decide to circle back in on ourselves again and group up a little bit tighter and wait till they break first. Now, I've said it in the past, but this is one of the things that you need to remember when flying aircraft like the Boomerang. Make the enemy engage you on your terms. Don't engage them on theirs. The Boomerang is best flown defensively. Select a position on the map where you know the enemy are going to want to be, and then lock it down and let them grind themselves to death on you. It's a tough little nut to crack. And if you look at the position on the map and the surrounding terrain, you'll actually see almost the entirety of this fight, from 15,000 feet all the way down to the deck, took place almost directly on top of the town. So the LA-5 in combat are having a little bit of a duel at the moment. He just rolls it over and forces the LA-5 to overshoot. I get a target making a pass through, just dip down and put myself below its guns. LA-5 makes a move on Wombat. I bring around to fall in on his tail. He decides that getting out of the area is probably a good idea, so dips away, and there's no way known a Boomerang's going to catch him, and I was never intending to catch him. As he zips away, we've got a second LA-5F coming in from the right. Immediately pull the plane over. Just keeping the turn tight as I move to fall in his tail. Drop combat flaps, I'm not going to be fast enough here. Try and loop it back over because we've got a second LA-5 that's once again engaging combat. Move to assist him. And if you look at the combat configuration during the early part of this flight, I was on Combat's tail, Combat was on Josie's tail, Josie was on my tail. We're keeping each other clear at all times. We are basically surrounded and swarmed by these LA-5s at the moment, and they're not getting hits on us. Firing off a couple of bursts at the LA-5F, but I'm not giving it nowhere near enough lead, and I'm having trouble getting the nose down fast enough. Josie dives in on the LA-5. I surrender the position to him. He's got a much better dive angle and more speed on, so I let him take the lead. He gets shots in and blows the oil system. Just falling onto his tail as cover. He's trying to roll through and keep shots on the LA-5. Combat also joins the fray at this point. The second LA-5 has backed off for the moment, and we're beginning to surrender the altitude. At this point, we've realised why we've managed to defend ourselves well enough up until this point. The LA-5s are vastly better aircraft for fighting at 15,000 feet, and our manoeuvrability was lacking, and they were starting to work their way around us. So we needed to bring it down to the deck. Now, Josie's had to back off this LA-5. He hit his overspeed warning, so he's had to pull out, so I've slotted back in and taken lead. Now I'm just holding off to see whether or not he can get back into position at this point, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to, so I'm going to execute this LA-5 so we remove him from the match. I just can't quite get the guns on target the way I would like. So all cannon gone, I'm down to MGs now. The damage on this guy is critical, there's no way known he's going to survive this. Put in a couple of extra rounds because, well, the Boomerang has more than enough that I don't need to worry about, holding back. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the aircraft and didn't check the top left-hand corner of the screen at the start of the match, the Boomerang only carries 120 rounds of ammunition for its cannons, 60 rounds per gun. But it carries 4,000 rounds of 30 caliber ammunition, so you can afford to spray and pray a little. Now with that LA-5 removed, we form back up, and then Josie and Combat begin engaging new targets. I move to assist Josie, and we've dropped all the way down to 1,000 feet. Now, in this situation, this is ideal manoeuvring altitude for the Boomerang. This is part of the reason why, when it was found, the Boomerang was not effective against modern aircraft being developed for the Pacific Theatre, and we're talking about A6M3s and A6M5s here. The Boomerang was switched over to ground attack, because at this altitude, its manoeuvrability is amazing. At this altitude, the Boomerang is effectively a slower, more heavily armoured Spitfire, and as you can see, this Type 27 ice shack, me and the Josie are all over it like a bad rash. There is no way known it is ever going to lose us or outmanoeuvre us. I-16 does a sharp rollover, and as it dives down, it runs straight through my guns. I put in a solid critical hit, then pull up. Josie dives in to follow, but the shot was fatal. Target down. Second kill. Now, why I've been over here helping the Josie, I have been monitoring what Combat Wombat's been up to, and he's taken out another LA-5, and he's now engaging this Yak 9K, so I'm moving to assist him, and this is the last aircraft on the enemy team, and potentially the most dangerous. While in terms of manoeuvring, even with its questionable flight model performance, it is no match for the Boomerang in a turn fight. It is much faster if the pilot decides to straighten it out and run, and that cannon that it carries is capable of one-shotting a Boomerang with no problems at all. Of course, this Yak 9K isn't trying to run, he's trying to turn, and he's trying to turn with all three of us. Combat and Joey both get good hits at the same time. One busted the oil system on the Yak 9K, the other one punched a fuel leak in the left-hand side wing. I've been raking the centre fuselage, hoping for a cockpit snipe. Instead, I light the 9K on fire, which goes out almost immediately. As always, the Moscow Fire Department showing how efficient it really is. Continuing to put shots into target, more hits, and another fuel leak in the right hand side wing this time. 9K reverses its turn in an attempt to drop in on Josie's tail. Another lead shot, more hits on target. And another good hit. This guy's taking a lot of ammunition to take down, but I am only firing 30 calibers at him. But I can afford to spray all I want. I've still got over 2,500 rounds of ammunition remaining. More hits. And this last one was a critical, blowing all his tail control, and in he goes. And that's the last kill of the match, 3 down. So, results for the match. First place on the team with 3 kills. The Josie 5 comes in with 1 kill and 1 assist, and Combat Wombat comes in 4th place with 1 kill. Awards are Teamwork, Bomber Rescuer, Winstreak X3, The Best Squad, Terror of the Sky, Balancer, and Bulletproof. 76,095 Silver Lions for the match, and 6,335 research points. Not bad for 13.5 minutes work. And one important thing to note here, because we were flying as a squadron and we were flying so close together, not a single one of the 3 of our aircraft took any damage at any time during that engagement. So it appears I may have found a way to make the Boomerang work once again. Flying it solo has really not worked for me despite multiple attempts. However, flying it in a close-knit squad with comms seems to be the way to make it operate now. This was the first time in a long time that I've had fun flying the Boomerang. Most of the time I am frustrated and a little sad at what the BR rating has done to this plane. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this video. Click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more. Fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.